Hello, mortals! I am the BookTube Goddess, the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube. And it is time for another tag video. I was tagged by iStar of Star Reads YA. The original tag was by Marissa Wright. This is a seasonal tag, or at least a tag based on one of the seasons, winter time. So let's go ahead and get through these tags.
Number 1 is Falling Snow. The colors of winter are muted. Choose a book that has whites, light blues, and grays on the cover.
Well, I recently picked up one, Trashlands by Ellison Stein. And this book I picked because of the cover in Shelve It or Shove It, and the premise seemed really interesting. In the far future, or the near future, a series of ecological disasters have happened throughout the world, and people are reverting to more primitive styles of life. And one thing that is now very rare is plastic. Now, I didn't actually like this book very much. It had so much promise. The premise sounded very interesting. It had that Mad Max type of setting. But for me, the story didn't go anywhere. It seemed to meander. And some of the world building just didn't make any sense to me. For instance, plastic is such a rare commodity. You would wonder what they are doing to it. Well, what they're doing to it is sending it to be melted down into bricks to build housing. And I believe there is at least clay around. So why are they going through all this massive effort for plastic for bricks? It just didn't make any sense to me. But the biggest issue I had was not really caring that much about the main character, and the pacing was extremely slow. So I don't actually recommend the book, but it has a beautiful wintry cover.
Number 2 is A Crackling Fire. Winter makes a perfect time to sit next to a crackling fireplace. What is a book that's best to curl up with next to a warm fire?
Well, for me, it's always nostalgia, and the two series I reread a lot just based on nostalgia is Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien and The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I've talked about these books often enough on my channel, so suffice to say that they do give me warm feelings, especially being that they were the books that took me out of some dark times when I was younger.
Number 3 is Ice Storms. Winter can be brutal. What book do you love that takes characters through a brutal season?
Of course, we have to say Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I guess you can kind of call this a post-apocalyptic novel as well, because the Earth has been shattered, and part of the repercussions of, I believe it's shattered through ecological disaster, but the repercussions are these seasons, aka the 5th season, but these seasons are so epically catastrophic that it affects entire civilizations. So yeah, that novel fits the bill. By the way, if you haven't read the 5th season series, what are you waiting for? Every single book in the trilogy has won a Hugo, and it is definitely a modern classic, at least in the science fiction genre. Well, in any genre.
Number 4, Winter Wishes. Winter makes us stay inside longer, and we tend to dream and wish more. What character is living a life you dream about?
Well, it used to be Mouse from Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. If you don't know, those are a series of books set in San Francisco. And I had moved to San Francisco at the time when a lot of the landmarks that he discusses in the book were also still existing in San Francisco. It's changed a lot since then, but Mouse and his best friend Marianne were sort of the quintessential San Francisco immigrants or settlers, and he seemed to be so with it and together and having so many friends and lovers that, I always admired Mouse. But I'm a little bit older now, so I'm going to say Auntie Mame by Patrick Dennis. Of course. Of course, I grew up watching the movie every year. It was my favorite thing to look forward to. But when I was older, I read one of the chapters in the novel Auntie Mame. It was in a collection of stories. And of course, I had to track down and get the entire book. And it is funny, funny, funny. Nonetheless, if there's any literary character that I want to imagine myself as, it is Auntie Mame. And yes, life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death.
Lip balm and lotion. Dry skin is part of winter for many. What book is full of soothing and comforting words?
Well, I'm going to say The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And I picked that because not only are there soothing words, but it's written in a soothing style. Now, mind you, it is an adult book, but it is written in the form of a fairy tale. And fairy tales are very comforting and warm and familiar. And check that book out if you haven't already. The warning, I have to admit, it's not for everyone because not everyone likes that sort of middle grade whimsical storytelling style.
What is your go-to drink and go-to snack for winter?
Well, I actually don't often eat or drink while I read, but if there is a drink, it's going to be coffee. I've tried to do tea. I don't usually do hot chocolate, but coffee is my go-to drink. I drink at least a pot a day, and no, that's not an exaggeration. So let's tag a few people. Let's tag Steph of Coffee Over Apples, who is my leader in the Reindeer Readathon recently, and she is a great, wonderful booktuber. Please check her out. And let's tag Kathy Trifhart. She recently did her own original tag, the Overwhelmed Book Tag, which I participated in, and she is also a wonderful, great booktuber that you should check out. And finally, let's tag Sarah of Voyage in Words or Worlds. We seem to tag each other off and on, so Sarah, it's your turn. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.